What does it mean when you're doing everything right, but still feel behind? You're maxing out your retirement account, building your savings, paying off debt, being financially responsible, but yet you still feel financially inadequate. There's a quiet truth that nobody really talks about. Oftentimes, this is not a money problem, it's just a comparison problem. Naturally, we compare ourselves to people who just seem further ahead, or people who just seem like they have all the right steps in the right order. But you've came across the right video, because we're going to break down a few things. The first one is why financially responsible people still feel behind, how social media distorts what on track actually looks like, what real benchmarks actually say about your personal finances, and last but not least, we're going to define what enough means for yourself. But before we get in, if you got a chance to check out my how to get over the fear of investing video, or if you don't struggle with investing but you may have financial anxiety, this is the right video, so you came to the right place. I will say this, if you don't have a fear of investing, you should also check out that video because it'll give you more confidence going forward. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and first cover what financial adequacy anxiety actually is. And while that was a little bit of a tongue twister, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if I had to put it in one sentence, it means you have financial anxiety based on how your financial situation is and where you are in life. We sometimes fall into the trap thinking, if I just invested sooner, I'd be way further ahead. Or if I made this amount of money per year, I'd be in a much better spot. And while a part of that may be true, if we keep overthinking it, that's when financial anxiety starts to kick in. But let me tell you this, there are a few reasons on why this happens, a few that you may have never expected before. The first reason that this happens is because there's not a clear benchmark on what enough actually means. The second reason is there's constant comparison, especially when it comes to social media. The third reason is we're constantly moving our financial goalposts based on where we are in our life. And last but not least, our success keeps getting redefined. But don't worry, I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper into why this happens later on in this video. I just wanted to give you the main points on where financial anxiety comes from. However, I will challenge some of these reasons with the quiet truth that you still can be progressing and still feel behind. There are plenty of successful people out here that are on social media that you follow that may not talk about their insecurities. And one of their insecurities is comparison. And as you know, comparison is the thief of joy, and that's what we're covering next. Alright, so let's dig a little bit deeper and talk about the comparison trap that nobody talks about. You are comparing yourself to someone else's financial highlight reel, and that is called social media distortion. Okay, look, I know we're on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and what that does a great job at doing is promoting everyone else's highlight reel that they post on the platforms. You've seen it, people are posting their personal wins, a new house, a brand new car, a quarterly vacation, and the list goes on and on. Or you may see the other side of it, where you may see an investor influencer or a business owner that are flashing like their $500,000 portfolios. And while they're flashing, you think to yourself, wait a second, they're only 30 years old, and next thing you know, that reel has went viral. But when you take a step back and look at the full picture, they're either trying to do two things. One, they're trying to sell you something or convince you to buy their product or service. Or two, they're just trying to encourage you to show you that it's possible for your life as well. And when we see that online, we naturally compare ourselves and develop what's called survivorship bias. And this is where people who post their numbers online, assuming they're legit, makes us feel like that we're falling behind. But let me tell you this, that the people that are showing you those numbers are oftentimes the exception to the average people online. And also, some examples that you may see is someone that's 30 years old maxing out their 401k account, or someone that doesn't have any consumer debt at all. But you must remember that these are rare occasions and they don't happen often. This next part should calm your anxiety because we're gonna talk about the numbers that most people don't show you. Believe it or not, a lot of these online influencers are doing worse than it may seem, and here's how. Many people are underfunded, underinvested, or carrying tons of debt that you may not see behind the scenes. And sometimes they'll use that money or take on debt just to look wealthy online. Here's a quick tip for you. you, if your favorite influencer is flashing their car or their house or their yacht every single day, then they probably don't have real wealth. Because some of the wealthiest people that I know are not flashy. It's very quiet and it stays consistent over time. And if they ever talk about their wealth, it's just to give you insight into how their life and wealth were built. This point reminds me of one of my favorite shows called Inventing Anna, and that show was based on a true story. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the common theme of the show took place of this German girl that faked her wealth by carrying debt and also stealing from her friends at the time. And it was really fascinating, but you should check it out in your free time and then let me know your thoughts. But going back to the real numbers, here's the thing that no one shows you. If you are saving consistently, reducing debt, and building assets, chances are you are way further ahead than you may give yourself credit for. And how I know is because you survived this far and you have built meaningful progress over time. Always, always, always don't forget that stability is progress, discipline is progress, margin is progress, and most importantly, peace is progress. Alright, so now we're going to talk about what on track actually means for you. The first thing that I recommend you do is shift your mindset from public benchmarks to personal benchmarks. And one way that you can start doing that is asking yourself all three of these questions from this framework. The first question is, how am I saving towards my retirement goals? The second question is my protected from major unexpected expenses? And the final question is my financial trajectory improving or declining? And if you said yes to at least two of those questions, then you're more on track than you may realize. And when I say on track, that does not mean compare yourself to strangers, because you don't know if they answer those three questions appropriately either. There are times to where we compare ourselves to very successful people out here. They could either be an online influencer or just someone that we know within our professional network. But believe it or not, sometimes success does not remove any type of anxiety, because there's always lifestyle inflation. Because when certain successful people get to a certain level, their expenses become their new floor. And sometimes being successful can expose deeper anxiety that we won't touch on in this video. For me personally, I consider myself as being successful. I've earned an MBA and I've spoke on a commencement speech at my undergraduate university, and I have a YouTube channel that I've been running successfully. And I'd also say that I have very close personal and professional relationships. But then whenever it relates to financial success, I can still compare myself too. And by comparing myself, that trips me up and makes me fall into a financial trap to where there's scoreboards every single day. But as you think about success in your own life, you should really define what that means for you. Because the older we get, the more we redefine what success actually looks like. Currently, being in my late 20s, what success looks like for me is being CEO of a major company or my own businesses. But as I get older, maybe success will look like spending more time with family, so that means I would need to invest more aggressively and plan to retire sooner. And I also encourage you not to overthink this, because then we'll fall back into the anxiety trap. But you should really think about what success means for you. A few moments ago, I talked about public benchmarks, and these are a few things that you should avoid so that you don't create anxiety for yourself. Avoid letting your net worth become your identity. Or avoid letting your savings become your net worth identity, because there are things that happen to us in life that we can't predict. The reason I say that is because more money does not automatically create enoughness. This is the last point that I'll make on this, but one of my favorite books is called The Psychology of Money from Morgan Housel. One of the chapters in his book talked about when is enough enough, because it's one person that makes $50,000 a year that's comparing himself to someone that makes $100,000 a year. And that same person that makes $100,000 a year is comparing themselves to someone that makes $1 million a year, and the list goes on and on. So another point that I encourage you to do is figure out when enough is enough. And as all of us, we know someone that doesn't ever get enough of money. Alright, now let's wrap this up with the comparison detox. I'm about to show you how to stop comparing yourself in 3 steps. And the first step are practical resets. What this means is audit who you follow on and off of social media, reduce the wealth content showcases, and increase visibility in grounded voices. Step 2, review your own financial progress twice a year. This means comparing your current yourself financially versus your prior yourself financially, not to other strangers online that you don't know. And lastly, number 3, create your own scorecard. Over time, what you should do is keep track of your own personal financial metrics like cash reserves, debt reduction, and investing consistency. And remember this, that peace comes from clarity, not competition. And also, focus on shifting your status goals to resilient goals. Ask, is my life getting stronger financially, and not, how do I look compared to everyone else? Before I let you go, let me leave you with this. You may not be behind financially. You may just be comparing yourself to a false standard. The goal is not to win someone else's financial life. The goal is to build a life that's funded, stable, and aligned with your core values. And when it comes to enough, it's not a number, but it's a framework. And sometimes realizing that you're doing a lot better than you thought is also financial progress too. So continue to stay disciplined, continue to stay consistent, and continue subscribing to Money Talks Media. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you take care, and I'll see you in the next one.